This is a video including personal identity and individual experiences. There may be words used that don't feel right to you, and that's part of what we're exploring here. We hope that you listen with an open heart, and we encourage you to continue these conversations amongst your own communities. Enjoy. We're here at SAE UK today, celebrating Pride Month. Woo! I'm going to be joined by a few people, and right now, please let me introduce you to Simon.
Hello.
Hello, Simon. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you.
My pleasure. So, Simon, you are a student here at SAE.
I am.
Cool. Tell everybody what you're studying.
So I'm studying audio production and sound design.
Oh, fab. What got you into doing that?
So I am on the side, or like my other job, I guess, is also being a drag artist.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So and I have been performing for years and years and years, and I've always been mixing my own performances, and then I was like, oh my god, it's something missing. This needs to be sick, basically.
Yeah, you can still hear the cut where you've made the change.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but then also, like, I really wanted to be able to make great remixes of my favorite songs.
Oh, fun.
You know, to make them sound exactly like I want them, because that's where it was lacking mostly for me.
Wow.
So that's how I got into it, actually.
So also superstar DJ in the making.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Okay, fab. So drag artist, incredible. Okay, we're talking about drag. I suppose, are there any LGBTQIA plus influences in the work that you're doing at the moment? Have you got anyone of note?
Yes, it is. Do you know about Patrick Cowley?
Tell me about Patrick Cowley.
Do you know Sylvester?
Sylvester, yes.
Yes.
From the 1980s Sylvester.
Exactly.
I do know
Yeah.
Sylvester.
So the producer for Sylvester was called Patrick Cowley. He sadly also passed away in AIDS. But he's incredible, and it's so many good songs on the few albums he's made, like Mighty Real and Do You Wanna Funk? And
You make me feel. Yes, okay.
Mighty Real.
You're welcome.
That one. So yeah, he really inspires me to become a music producer as well.
Incredible.
Yeah, as well as, the producer for ABBA, etc., etc. It's a long list, but
Etc., etc., the drag queen from Australia.
Yeah.
New reference there. Yeah. Wasn't sure they were inspiring anyone just yet, but it's nice to see they are.
Yeah. Yes.
Fab. Nice. Okay, so just quickly, I need to touch on back to being a drag artist.
Right.
What is their name?
The name is Claudia Sniffer.
Oh, lovely. How long ago did Claudia Sniffer come into this world?
So, she has been around since...
You were 6 years old!
Yes! Since Simon could walk, basically.
Sure, yeah, same.
And she was stumbling in her heels. So she's been around all my life, basically. So now, when I'm becoming this music producer, I'm still gonna call myself Claudia Sniffer.
Brilliant, yeah, gorgeous.
Sniffer Productions, it's so many...
Oh, I love that.
It's good,
oh, yeah,
right?
That is, yeah.
It came to me the other week.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So I need to trademark it now.
Great.
Before this airs.
Yeah. It doesn't surprise me that nobody else is running under that name, but I think you are going to nail that.
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, so she's been around forever, basically.
Nice. So if people want to come and see Claudia Sniffer, where will they be finding you, other than on Zoom right now? I'm assuming, when things open up again.
So I've been doing a few gigs on Touche.
Oh, yeah.
And in the Glory.
How cute.
But I'm quite new to the London scene, so I'm just...
Well, listen, if you're already doing gigs at Touche and the Glory, you are in the right company.
Okay, good, yeah.
So, yeah, fabulous. Wonderful. So how long have you got left on your course?
So I'm on my second year now, so I have 1 year left.
Brilliant. Okay, well, good luck with that.
Thank you.
Are you doing anything special for Pride Month other than looking at all the things that are wrong with pinkwashing capitalism?
Not much more than that, actually.
No.
It's so much to cover on that.
No.
No, I have no plans.
Yeah. Well, the march has been cancelled.
Yeah.
Till September.
Yeah, exactly. But I am aiming for Brighton Pride, to be fair.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, because I have a few friends hopefully coming over from Sweden.
Gorgeous. We'll maybe see you there.
Yeah, I hope so.
Well, Simon, thank you so much.
Thank you, Orange.
Pleasure. Good luck with your course.
And you too.
Ciao for now. Now I am joined by the wonderful Jonathan.
Hi.
Hello, Jonathan. Jonathan, you are also a student here at SAE.
Yes.
Fabulous. What are you studying?
So I'm studying audio as well. I'm just finishing up.
Oh, fantastic. Final
few
year.
Months. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Lovely. Talking of just finishing, you have released a debut album.
Yes, I have.
Brilliant. Under the name of A World to Come.
Yes, that's the album name.
Wonderful.
Project Swan Song is sort of the production sort of name for the we're a duo that released the whole thing. So
Oh, great. There's two of you.
Yeah, there's two childhood friends.
Oh, fun. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice to be able to do stuff with somebody that you've known for so long.
Yes.
Yeah, because also working with people you know can sometimes be a bit intense.
Yeah.
To say the least, you know.
Yes,
Like,
but especially in sorts of artistic sorts of scenarios, because you can get very clashing opinions and that sort of things. Yeah.
yeah. Well, also as queer people, sometimes, you know, we have such a clear vision
Yeah.
of how things are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And when you've got two people with clear visions, sometimes that can... But you're obviously on the same page most of the time.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yes, and we're brutally honest with each other, which is amazing. It's
Sure.
yeah, it's really nice.
What's the vibe of the album? So what kind of music is it?
So it's sort of a prog rock pop thing.
Cool.
That we've sort of cobbled together. It's an amalgamation of really things we've worked on for years and years and years and years. So it's very broad thematically.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a prog album. So if people are like their prog, then you're definitely gonna like it.
Fab. Well, I mean, I've never been somebody that has kind of shouted from the rooftops about loving prog, but I'm fascinated actually, and I'm interested to hear it. So, kind of, were there any influences from, you know, perhaps LGBTQIA plus references or?
The general theme is sort of identity, and that's sort of a red thread throughout the whole thing. I feel there's one song that's specifically focused on the whole queer world.
Fantastic.
Basically. But yeah, the theme of identity and sort of identifying and finding yourself and how you present yourself and things like that. That's sort of a underlining theme of the whole thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is obviously, you know, a big thing at the moment.
Yes.
Presenting yourself, understanding that this world is made up of completely unique individuals and that we are all choosing different ways, and that these boxes we once thought are no longer relevant to us anymore.
Absolutely.
Right. So, I mean, the prog rock scene, is it queer at the moment? Are there many queer artists, LGBTQIA plus, you know, identified bands or?
I mean, I think within the prog scene, within the rock metal scene, within the artistic scene in general, we're very lucky because we've got predecessors that sort of paved the path for us.
Sure.
I mean, you've got, obviously, in the rock scene, you got the big Freddie Mercury that sort of opened up the whole world for us.
Right, I see, yeah, of course, yeah.
And it almost feels like being queer in general in this scene is we've reached some sort of normality that's not there for maybe a bank or you know, some other profession. So it seems like it feels like a very safe place to be, a very open sort of community to be in, because you're expected to present yourself fully and not you know, put on a very rigid facade in that way. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I think authenticity is kind of key in the eyes of a fan. I think if they can see that you are giving your full self over to them through the music that you're creating, you know, then you know, they are dedicated even more so to, you know, the creations that you are, you know, making. Yeah. Fabulous. Lovely. Well, so do you have any plans for Pride? Anything coming up?
Well, I'm hard at work on my dissertation and major projects. I want to get out and do something just to get out of my room.
Sure.
But yeah, we'll see.
Well, luckily Pride Month is usually for everybody else, you know.
Yeah.
We are obviously celebrating Pride 365 days a year.
Yes.
So, you know, I hope you get some time to yourself, and good luck with everything that you're
Thank
doing.
you.
And I can't wait to hear the album, probably right after this interview.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're going live in 3, 2, 1, action!
Just a plush life in the Palisades, where the laws don't apply, just get your way. If you need to change your pace from your day to day, bring your thoughts and wow. Getting too hot, we gonna keep it cool. Heard a bottle just pop over by the pool. When you hear the bass drop, you know the golden rule. It's your chance to dance, you better get it right.
Thank you so much. This is just my first outfit. Happy Pride, everybody! I love my soul.
Walking to the party, always looking foxy. There's a lot of shaking going on. Things are getting saucy, and it's so glossy. There's a lot of shaking going on. Tell me, do you feel it? Show me.
No! And that is important. Consent is key.
Looking foxy, there's a lot of shaking going on.
How did I discover drag? Long story, that one. So, I mean, I guess I've been playing with drag since I was a child. I think like a lot of people that find themselves as drag queens in their later lives. But no, discovering drag really happened when I met my boyfriend. So my first boyfriend I met after I came out when I was 22, and then I met my boyfriend when I was 20. Let me get this right. 23. I was 23, he was 27. He was DJing for a club night where there were lots of people dressing up in drag. And I think one of the first experiences I had with him, I was in a taxi with 2 other drag queens. I'd never met a drag queen before in my life. And there wasn't this like perfect female illusion that I was expecting from a drag queen. There was like a full beard happening. I was like, yes, this is for me. Yes, if this is okay and you can do this and this is valid, I want this. And so, yeah, it kind of all stemmed from my first boyfriend. And actually, he took me on our first date to see Johnny Woo, who's a famous drag queen in East London, now runs a pub just down the road from here, actually, called The Glory. So, yeah, that was my my foray into drag. If it was me, I would say do exactly what you did, because I didn't have this. I think this was a world before RuPaul. So like I actually didn't even know about the existence of RuPaul, shockingly. But RuPaul's Drag Race wasn't really a thing 10 years ago. And I think now, a lot of people are getting into drag with RuPaul's Drag Race being their first experience of what that's supposed to be. And there's a big strive for perfection, especially in makeup and looks and the illusion. And drag is about having fun and not caring what anyone else thinks. Like that in its essence, what drag is. It's just like be your authentic self and be delusionally self-confident. You know, even if you've got a flappy eyelash and a wonky lip, just be delusionally self-confident. That is the best advice I can give you. So I like to say in my show, I do a bingo show on Zoom, and one of the numbers is 7, the number of international seasons of RuPaul's Drag Race. Also, the percentage of knowledge you would have on the queer community if you only ever watched RuPaul's Drag Race, which is basically me trying to say that it's not a broad representation of the community. But yeah, it's important for the stories to be told. I think we have to, you know, take the lack of inclusion with that show with a pinch of salt, because, you know, we have to remember that we have a queer-centric show that is a global sensation that is in basically every household kind of around the world. I mean, assuming you're not a bigot, but, you know, it's, you know, become a huge sensation, you know, in the non-queer LGBTQIA plus world. So, yeah, I think it's important, you know, and Queer Eye, I guess, you know, is telling those stories, but unfortunately both shows are just coming from the perspective of gay men. So, you know, it isn't very inclusive. You know, there's no lesbian identities there, there's no trans identities there. I mean, we do have one trans identity now in RuPaul's Drag Race, in the shape of Gottmik, but yeah, it's not, if somebody wanted to learn about the queer community, I would not be telling them to go and watch those shows for representation, let's put it that way. So yes, lots and lots of ways. Mainly the ideas that I've got. I just have too many ideas for things, and I don't have any time to implement them. You know what I wish I had somebody that I could just like, maybe somebody, I don't know, maybe I need to be in touch with some businesses and just feed them all these ideas I have, because I'm not going to do anything with them. But yeah, I have lots of ideas for lots of things all the time. Yeah, actually, that's been a journey actually in itself, really understanding how I became Orange Gina. But it kind of, what I've realized, it stems from my childhood for sure. The orange, definitely, because my mum used to use henna all the time on her hair, so always had these stained orange hands. I look back at pictures of myself and I'm always wearing like something with orange in it. So I think like there's always been like this orange influence in my life. Then I became a drag queen and I found this wig in a bargain bin at a festival for £5, and it was this orange bob, a bit like this, but had a fringe. And I think I've had like 6 versions of that same wig. I also found these boots online. This is now my 11th pair of these same boots in the last 10 years. I keep breaking them on hills at festivals. And then my friend Jackie Potato gave me this dress, which is actually a skirt. I wear it as a dress, a skirt, a cape, which was orange. And so these orange things kind of happened to my drag, and I kind of just, you know, absorbed them. And I didn't have a name for the first 4 years of doing drag, so I didn't have this name, and people would call me things like Georgius, and it was lovely to be called things like that. But it never really resonated with me. Like, I felt like your drag name needs to really speak, you know, who you are. So anyway, I'm walking to the club one day, and I see this book on the floor, open to the page of a rainbow. And so, you know, as the queer person I am, I saw the rainbow and was like, right, okay, my book. Picked up the book, and it turned out to be a book of teaching children colours. So on one page was the word of the colour, on the other page was a picture of something that was that colour. So it was like green frog, red apple, blue ocean. But the first page I had turned to after this rainbow, so the first page, I picked up the book and turned to the page, was orange, orange. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is a sign from the universe. So all these orange things had been happening in my drag, and then this book says orange, orange to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm keeping this forever. Put it in my bag, went to the club, came out halfway through the show, opened the book, and in the front of the book, it said, this book belongs to, and it was blank. This was a used book that had been on the floor, that definitely had been owned by some other child, and there's no way that a child doesn't put their name in their book. So I saw this as a sign and was like, right, this is where I choose my name. This is me. This is where I choose my name. So I was just like, right, okay, orange, 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 orange. People used to call me Georgina, Georgina, Georgina. I could be Orange Gina. And that was that. That was the birth of the name. And 6 years later, here she is. Well, I guess for a long time, I didn't feel like I was part of... Actually, for a long time, I didn't feel like I was part of the society I lived in. I didn't feel like I was part of anything. I didn't feel like I was part of school. I didn't feel like I was part of sports. I didn't feel like I was part of anything. I didn't see myself represented anywhere. On telly, actually, I didn't see myself represented. And I was kind of gay from, you know, I was being called gay at the age of 7. In a time where schools couldn't even talk to a child about being gay because Section 28 was still a thing until I was 13. So, you know, the government was forcing schools not to talk about this kind of stuff. So even when I was 7, teachers weren't allowed to talk to me about the potential of me being gay. So I never really felt like I was part of anything. And when I found a community of people living in London, all going out at the same time, enjoying the same music and loving each other, that was just... I can't express how grateful I was to have not done something stupid in my times of deep depression. That's all I can really say to that. So yeah, very, very, very important. And I think it's upsetting sometimes when you have this kind of infighting of a community where in a world of capitalism, everyone's just fighting with each other for these top spots of jobs. And especially in a world of art and creation, there only seem to be a certain number of spots available for people. So yeah, it's a fantastic community, but we all need to remember that we are together in this fight against those that are against us. But yeah, it couldn't be more important. I think trying to box ourselves based on other people. So based on this otherness, this trying to describe ourselves in reference to the heteronormative world that we're living in can sometimes force us to go in directions that aren't necessarily us. We're trying to be someone in the eyes of somebody else. We're trying to please that other person still, rather than doing things for ourselves. So I think having an awareness of that and really checking in with yourself and making sure that you're doing things all for the right reason and for you, and not because you think this is how somebody else wants you to be. Well, I mean, tremendously important. If anyone went to school, they will know that not a single piece of queer history was mentioned during your history lesson. That may be different now, I'm sure it is. I'm sure, in fact, primary schools up and down the country are educating their kids about Pride Month and what it means to be part of the LGBTQI+ community. But yeah, it's just important to understand the history. You know, we lost so much of it through, you know, the 80s. You know, so many people that had so much knowledge, that knew so many things, lost their life too soon. And I think, you know, remembering that and remembering the fact that queer history has existed since the beginning of time. You know, 5000 BC, you had a statue of an intersex person, you know, carved into wood. You know, we forget all these things that have existed. You know, you had a gay wedding in ancient Egypt, you know, 5,000 years ago, 2400 BC, I think it was. You know, these things exist and we need to know about them, and it's important that we realize that queerness didn't start like at Stonewall, you know, that's not when the gay began. So yeah, it is really important to educate people on the history of Pride and, you know, how we've come and how we've been persecuted and risen above it. Queer the Norm is the company I founded 4 years ago now, which basically was a reaction to me losing my job, which I was working in sustainability, and I kind of felt like I had a mission for the world, and that, you know, my job was worth something. And then when I lost that, I was just like, you know what? Actually, I don't really want to be doing anything other than supporting the queer community. So I was like, why not have a company that just does everything that supports the queer community? You know, just as many initiatives as I can think of. Too many ideas anyway. I can probably think of ideas for the rest of my life. So, you know, if the fight for equality isn't over by the time I die, the company can carry on continuing my legacy. So that was on a, you know, personal level, that was kind of why. But really, I'd heard so many stories of trans and non-binary friends and the kind of hatred and horrors that they'd experienced just like existing on the streets, that I knew that we're still in this time of, you know, education is very necessary, and, you know, so much work is being done within organizations for people at work to feel safe, but actually, what are we doing so that people on the streets feel safe, that doesn't involve, you know, like having to call the police. So, you know, the idea is that we're going to bring queerness to more normal spaces and out of the queer spaces and, you know, into everywhere else. So that's the journey we're on, and yeah, whoever wants to jump on board, please do. It's important to have friends in the community, you know, especially with the sometimes competitive nature of performance and, you know, trying to be booked, you know, for gigs. It's important to kind of have this camaraderie and, yeah, not kind of get lost in that fight for, you know, work, because I think it can be it can get in the way. But yeah, no, having friends in the community is important, because you know, you need people around you that are on your vibe, that, you know, you can identify with and that you don't feel alone. And so yeah, I think it's very important. Yeah, well, normally this information costs money. But no, there's many things you can do. And I think one of the main things, you know, the key really is not assuming things. I think one of the follies of life is that we assume things about people when we hear just like one piece of information. So I think not assuming things, not looking at someone and identifying them based on how you see them, you know, definitely not asking people about their bodies, like that's a no-no. And just asking relevant questions and, like, you know, making sure that you're putting somebody in a position that makes them feel comfortable. You know, one of those things you can do is pronouns. So like, if you can put your pronoun on a profile or at the bottom of your email, you know, that as a non-queer person means that it's not just queer people that are having to like out themselves with their pronouns and it just feels like it's a thing that only queer people are doing, I think it's important that you know, allies can do that. I think pronouns is like a first step and is a good step just to even start this conversation of what pronouns are and why we have different ones and why some don't feel right to us and all this kind of stuff. But one word of warning, do not ever force people to put pronouns on stuff, because if you put a blanket force, say like you're in a company and all of a sudden they send out an email that says, right, everyone please put your pronouns in your emails because we're trying to be inclusive. Actually, if you have a trans person in your organization that is not currently out and you are forcing them to use pronouns that they are currently displaying, as in they're presenting, say, as a female, as a woman, with which you would assume to have she pronouns, if they are forced to use those pronouns, yet they are a trans man, but they are presenting at the moment as female, you're essentially forcing them to misgender themselves. So I think important to encourage, but definitely do not enforce, because that can be, and I can see why companies would like to see, let's enforce it, that's inclusive, but actually it can be really dangerous. So yeah, don't enforce.